Scientists have just discovered something incredible beneath Africa. Deep in the heart of Africa, hidden beneath one of the densest rainforests on Earth, lies something that turns our entire understanding of human history upside down.
And that could change the fate of the entire planet. We're going to take a look at that today, so let's get started right away.
Africa, one of the most fascinating and mysterious continents. Let me know which of you have been there and which countries you've visited. I'd be very interested to hear about it. Today we're traveling to the Congo Basin. If this makes you think of impenetrable, uninhabited jungle, one of the last truly untouched wildernesses on our planet.
He is probably very much mistaken. New research suggests that what we consider to be pristine nature today might actually be an overgrown cultural landscape. A kind of archaeological archive that hides thousands of years of human history beneath its tree canopies. The crucial clue comes from the so-called African dark earths, known in German as afrikanische dunkle Erden. These are soils whose chemical composition is radically different from that of the surrounding tropical soils. While typical rainforest soils are extremely poor in nutrients, the rainforest paradoxically still grows lushly because nutrients are stored in the cycle of living plants and animals. These dark soils store exceptionally large amounts of nitrogen, phosphorus, and calcium.
And this has been going on for millennia. Where do these soils come from? Analyses show that they consist of a mix of biochar, bone fragments, organic waste, and excrement. But the most important thing is that this composition does not arise by chance in nature. It is the result of long-term, intensive human settlement. Just like the terra preta in the Amazon, these soils are not a natural product, but man-made.
I've already talked about the phenomenon of terra preta in the Amazon here on this channel. If you never want to miss topics like this again, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel now. That way, you'll always get a notification. Thanks, everyone.
And now it gets really exciting, because wherever you find this African dark earth, people used to live there over many generations in a stable and organized manner. This means that large parts of today's Congo Basin were once intensively settled. What we consider wilderness today could in reality be a regenerated forest, grown on the foundation of a long-forgotten civilization. But who were these people? This is where the Bantu expansion comes into play, one of the most massive migrations in human history. About 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, Bantu-speaking peoples began to spread out from West Africa in all directions. They brought technologies such as ironworking, pottery, and systematic agriculture deep into the rainforest. Absolutely incredible. Considering how difficult this environment is for farming, the African dark soils may be directly linked to their settlements, a byproduct of intensive use spanning centuries. Scientist Leonor Rodriguez from the University of Montpellier, who has studied precisely such soils in the Congo Basin, describes the principle as follows. The soils are built up through the regular addition of organic matter, grass, soil, plant debris, over many generations.
In a study published in Scientific Reports, your team demonstrates that this type of soil management significantly increases soil fertility as long as it is actively maintained. What is particularly interesting is that in some regions, the local population even has a special name for this dark, fertile soil.
Among the Karanko and Kisi in Guinea, for example, they are called Tombondu, which means the land of an ancient settlement. This shows that knowledge of these human-made soils was never entirely lost. It lived on in local lore, while science is only now slowly catching up. But as scientists continued to reconstruct the region's history, they stumbled upon something extremely strange.
Archaeological and ecological data suggest that there was a drastic decline in the population of the Congo Basin between approximately 400 and 600 AD.
Exactly why remains unclear to this day. Climate changes that destroyed the harvest, epidemics that spread in densely populated villages, likely a combination of several factors, and research is still in its infancy here. What happened afterward, in any case, is remarkable. The settlements were abandoned and nature reclaimed the land. Tree by tree, decade by decade, the forest grew over the traces of human activity. The impression of an untouched primeval forest emerged, yet in reality it was a reforested cultural landscape.
And by the way, we also know this pattern from the Amazon, where similar findings point to a previously dense population. Our image of untouched nature is being shaken worldwide, and I find that incredibly fascinating.
And there is another, larger dimension to this story that goes far beyond archaeology. The Congo Basin is home to one of the most significant carbon reservoirs on the entire planet. The vast peatlands and swamps there store about 1/3 of the carbon bound in tropical peatlands worldwide, even though they cover only 0.3% of the Earth's total land area. Environmental researcher Travis Drake and his team from ETH Zurich have demonstrated that these ancient carbon reservoirs are already beginning to release their stored carbon. They studied 2 large blackwater lakes in the Congo Basin, Lake Mai-Ndombe and its smaller neighbor, Lake Tumwa. The surprising result, up to 40% of the CO2 that these lakes release into the atmosphere does not come from freshly decomposed plant matter, but from peat that is thousands of years old. Travis Drake describes it this way: "We were surprised to find ancient carbon being released in this way because the carbon reservoir has, so to speak, a leak from which ancient carbon is escaping."
What does that mean? There are indications that the delicate balance of these ecosystems could be disturbed. If it gets drier, the peat dries out more often.
Oxygen penetrates deeper, bacteria decompose the organic material, and huge amounts of CO2 are released. ETH professor Jordan Hemingway sums it up: "Our fear is that the balance will tip. If droughts become longer and more intense, the blackwater lakes in this region could become significant sources of methane, with consequences for the global climate." Incidentally, exactly how all this happens is still completely unclear. The ETH Zurich report states, "It remains unclear how the carbon is released from the undecomposed plant material. The pathways through which the carbon enters the lake water are also still unknown."
And all of this in a region that is only just beginning to reveal its archaeological past. Because modern methods like LiDAR scans and soil analyses show that we have probably only discovered a tiny fraction of the human traces in the Congo Basin.
Vast areas are barely accessible and virtually unexplored by science. At the same time, they are at risk of being destroyed by deforestation and mining before we have even come to understand them. We could thus lose clues to entire civilizations before we even know their names. The Congo Basin is not a marginal issue, it is a key region in 2 respects: for the archaeology of humanity and for the future of Earth's climate. What we find there underground not only tells us where we come from, it also tells us what is at stake if we don't pay attention. And it reframes one of the most fundamental questions entirely.
Do we need to rewrite the history of humanity? In which places did advanced civilizations already exist, where today nature has reclaimed the land? And I find this question absolutely fascinating. The greatest mysteries of humanity are sometimes not hidden in pyramids or ancient ruins, but literally in the ground beneath our feet, or in this case, beneath the densest rainforest on Earth. I'll keep you updated on all further exciting discoveries, so please feel free to subscribe to the channel now. And speaking of the legacies of humanity,
in the next video, we'll look at the damage caused by a drone attack on the Chernobyl nuclear power plant and what the latest technical investigations reveal. It's truly terrifying and fascinating at the same time, because the damage to Chernobyl is more dramatic than anyone thought. You'll find the video on this topic in the top right corner. Be sure to click on it. It's very exciting. As always, there's another video about science and space in the bottom right corner. Otherwise, I'd say see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.